everybody's got the same aims, and it's really positive, I think. And the enthusiasm is amazing.
Hello. Testing, testing. 1, 2.
Oh yeah. And then you can zoom in on stuff.
Okay.
And zoom out on stuff.
Okay.
And that's
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sian. I'm a community storyteller for this project and volunteer at Football's Community Garden in Lochee. I attend St John's High School, and at the end of my 3rd year there, I did a work placement at the Maxwell Centre. While I was there, I helped organise and plan the summer open day for all the gardens. I've been going to Footballs for a few years now and go with my friend Rebecca, my sister Neve, my mum Sinead, and my dad Harold, who you're just about to meet.
I've been coming here for about 2 years. I didn't actually plan on being part of the garden, I only came to help my wife choose a bed. And since then I've been planting all these lovely flowers and other flowers in the about that you can see. But yeah, it's really great. It's a great space to come to. It's very friendly, the people here. The fresh air is great. The companionship you get here, it's really good. And actually being able to taste fresh produce, it's a lot better than you would get in a supermarket.
The social part, I think, and growing your own stuff.
Being outside with the plants and with the people is really a big part of it, for me anyway.
I think that's a great thing about the gardens, that, you know, it's like when you have all the different ways of learning, and the garden, it just checks all those boxes, because depending on what you're looking for, you can find it, if it's people or plants or learning or chilling or whatever it is.
It's a really lovely green space hidden away in the middle of the town, of a little area here, and it's been really, really great to come in and just visit and spend time in here.
Just sit in the green.
Hi, I'm Jack, and I've been working with Sian to tell the story of what helps and hinders social action for this network of over 25 gardens in Dundee. I'm also part of the story because I work at Ninewells Community Garden and have collaborated with the gardens this summer to design a map, organise an open day and produce a wheelbarrow parade.
The network, there's several different community gardens in Dundee, and everybody was sort of going about their own individual business.
Some of the gardens are completely run by volunteers and have very little funding. Others are part of larger charities that run gardens as part of their wider programme.
The Maxwell Centre organised a network. They had the first meeting so they invited everybody for every community garden in Dundee.
The first meeting took place in June 2022 and the group have continued to meet regularly since.
The meetings help the gardens to get to know each other better, organise and share resources and ideas, work collectively to have their voices heard, plan events and share delicious soup. Manuela is employed as garden coordinator at the Maxwell Centre and has been an integral part of starting and running the network. She has told us about some of the successes and why she thinks it works so well in its current state.
I think the shared leadership is quite important. So although the Maxwell has kind of set it up from the beginning, but then it has become kind of a co-facilitated project, in the sense that many of the different groups have been part of different activities and things that we've been doing, and also co-leading the actual workshops and the sessions. You know, that kind of shared leadership and participation makes everybody feel it belongs to them as well.
People say they enjoy getting the chance to see other gardens in their busy schedule. They feel encouraged and inspired by seeing how other people are growing things and overcoming challenges.
I think the fact that we always want to meet up, and that at each of the meetings there's been 25 people at least coming along, you know, with an appetite of seeing the other people and talking and having something together, but also doing a little bit of work to find out how we can make things better, and reach out to
And it's only been a
others,
year, really, hasn't it?
and it's just been a year, so it's
since
been really,
the idea got off the ground.
yeah. So I think if you look at time invested and results, it's super efficient, this network and the way we're operating.
Not meeting too often so that it's not too tiring, but there is also time for actions to get done. When organising things for the network, much like in the garden, things must be practical and hands-on.
And I think we do have, although it's not an official thing, but we do have a certain methodology that we use to make sure that everybody has a voice and be transparent about what we're doing. So it's not written anywhere, we don't have a constitution, but that is the way we're operating, and we've been proving that that's the way we operate, so that builds on that trust.
Being part of this group has allowed the smaller gardens with less admin time to still have their voices heard at higher levels. It means the lack of time they have to network and meet others doesn't make them miss the chance to hear about opportunities.
There's all these kind of external that really want to talk with the gardens, but they can't pick one. So having that collective voice and knowing that we trust each other to have that collective voice, we will share what we get. And I think that's such a lovely place to be in. It just feels really good. Yeah. Unwritten rules. It's kind of like the old-fashioned days when your word was enough. And it's a bit like that, isn't it? We don't need to sign anything.
The network currently has no legal status, which may be a concern if they were to seek funding. At the moment, the Maxwell Centre manages any financial support they have. This informal structure may have to change, but is working very well for now.
It does save a lot of time in terms of like bureaucracy and having to do the kind of things that we don't really want to be doing, because we want to be delivering and, you know, hands-on. But if we were doing a lot of paperwork, especially us, if we're doing a bit more of the facilitating, then it just becomes a really boring job, and it's not what we want to be doing, and we don't want to be having to be writing reports and things like that. We want to be delivering.
We want to be out in the garden.
At all the network meetings and with all the gardens that we've spoken to, funding is something that comes up time and time again.
For larger gardens, they are often struggling to find funding for staff time to support volunteers and strengthen relationships with local neighbourhoods and communities. Smaller organisations are sometimes putting off getting funding because of the formality and potential restrictions.
So every 2 years, nearly every organisation goes through a crisis of what are we going to do, and what if the funding doesn't come through, so that generates job instability and people are unhappy, and you don't know where you stand. And I think that's not good for projects.
Yes.
Because, and you know, if you lose people that are really embedded in their community, and then suddenly the next day they're gone because they're not sure. So,
or they're post, you know, there isn't the money for the funding for their post. Or
I think
whatever.
that's really not. Yeah, it's worrying that
It's a crisis every 2 years, as you see.
And I don't know what it is with funders not wanting to continue funding for things that work well. I can understand there's an appetite for innovation and trying new things out, and that's what we do all the time. But we have to keep our core services running because they serve the community, and the community love what we're doing, and they give us positive feedback. So why should we stop doing that and start something completely different just because it's something new on the agenda?
It takes time to build up trust and develop mutually beneficial relationships.
Meikle has taken on a role 1 day a week as a network coordinator. This role was funded by the Council's Climate Choices Fund, which was decided by local residents. We discussed how awarding funding based on voting campaigns often seems fair, but actually isn't.
Some neighbourhoods are better off than others, and where you're not so well off, and you don't really have that much time, because you're continuously fighting to survive and trying to get hold of food and trying to get hold of support, which is really difficult. So it doesn't really leave you with enough time to go and, in addition to that, look for money to make your community or your neighbourhood better. So it ends up being better off neighbourhoods that are more participatory and have more people with the time available to be proactive and make things better. So it's kind of unfair.
The core value of the network is fairness. They make sure all benefits and opportunities are distributed equitably. I don't know how to say that.
Equitably.
Equitably.
Yeah.
Okay.
It means like equally but not equally, because if we gave the Maxwell the same as we gave fruit bowls, it actually wouldn't be fair.
Equitably.
Yeah.
One of the things we did was to collate all the different skills that everybody had in the network and all the different equipment that we could share and things like that. And it's been the same for some of the training sessions or workshops. It's like anybody can, it's a bit like a skill share. Anybody who has the capacity can deliver to the others, and it doesn't matter if you're a big or a small garden. Everybody has got something that they can share with the rest.
I was lucky enough to go at the first one, and I'm not going to lie, sitting there at the first network meeting, it was like, what have I got myself into here? It was so difficult to, because it was like thousands of pounds here, thousands of pounds there they were talking about. But then as the network meetings went on, it was really good because people were coming up and saying, oh, I've never been to Fruit Bowls, or I've never been to 9 Miles or Victoria. Can I come along for a visit? Yeah. Well, this is what we do. We've got these plants. Do you want them? So there's more and more sharing happening than probably what was before.
So far the network's been really helpful in support, and for us a big factor is we've had a lot of vandalism, but actually seeing that it's not just us, it's not just our area, other areas are struggling with the same thing. So that's been quite a good thing, I suppose, in that it's not just something to us, and seeing how other people have dealt with it and what sort of things they've tried and what they're doing, and that has been helpful.
You can totally talk about the failures as well. I mean, there's no, that's part of it, is okay, why did it go wrong, all that kind of thing, without feeling judged. But the network's kind of created that feeling of equality, and people do feel confident, and they do feel sort of trusted and looked after and things like that.
The network is always there in the background. If you've, like for instance, I've had loads of pumpkins smashed, say, and they say, well, we've got extra pumpkin plants, you can have to replace them. Whereas we wouldn't have things like that, we'd have to start from seeds. So you just put it on the WhatsApp, and there's always somebody has something that will help you.
Being part of the network has helped us access some items we didn't have before. We don't have any funding at the moment whatsoever. So things like a wheelbarrow, we had to get 5 tons, was it?
Yeah, 5 tons.
5 tons of compost up the ramp from the road and into our garden and into the beds, and we didn't have a wheelbarrow. We had 1 shovel. That was a challenge. So being part of the network, we've been able to borrow wheelbarrows and shovels from other people, but we've also been able to now get our own wheelbarrow from doing the wheelbarrow thing. So that was quite a big deal for us.
Yeah, I think for me one of the main things is like what we've created is such a joyful, positive kind of, I don't know, group of human beings that really like each other and appreciate what the others are doing, and there's a lot of respect and there's a lot of dignity, and the way we operate, I think, is quite caring and sensitive to all our different circumstances and needs.
Everybody's got the same aims, and it's really positive, I think, and the enthusiasm is amazing.
Yeah, they're definitely not boring, that's for sure. And I do feel like we get something done or planned each time. I don't feel like they're a waste of time.
No. You come away with some knowledge that you didn't know before.
Yeah.
So it's really beneficial to everybody, and I think everybody, if you ask them, would probably say the same. It is very beneficial, this network that we have between the gardens. Tend to meet every sort of couple of months, and it's a great get-together. It's nice to meet people, you get to know them better, and then if you turn up at their garden, they know who you are. And then people will say, I'm able to get such and such compost, or I can get funding, does anybody want it? So it goes on like either an email or a WhatsApp group, and that way people are sharing everything they can get rather than just keeping everything to themselves.
It does help, yeah. Yeah, it gives us things to strive for, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, something to aim for.
Yeah.
But then now that it's been about a year, so there's there's quite a lot of things being delivered, and people are starting to get to know each other better, and we've had the open day and lots of great initiatives. So we have to be careful that we keep all this sort of good feeling and positivity and things going, but also are really supporting everybody in the network with things that they actually need.
I think lots of people that live in the neighbourhood still don't know that we are here and have never been in the garden before. And I think there's so much opportunity and, you know, so many things that people could live and experience here if they came in.
And also people maybe don't know that they think there's a requirement expected of them to maybe help or to maybe do work or to know something about gardening or plants. And I think, you know, people don't realise they can just come and sit.
We need to get better at explaining what we are about and how people can take part in all these different ways.
The group are working with a designer to develop a website that will tell people more about what the gardens do. They hope that more visibility will help them to continue to build relationships within their local neighbourhoods and create and strengthen partnerships across the city with other organisations.
I think that is one of the things that works really well about the Maxwell, is that because it's a community centre that is about helping people and, you know, food bank referrals and groups to support people with fibromyalgia and many other things. And the fact that that's part of a community garden, that means that lots of people that normally wouldn't come to a place like this will end up here. And I think that's a really important benefit. And I think if that was replicated in other places, you know, where we join up services and community gardens are part of something bigger, not just about the growing but many other things as well.
Totally. It really helps.
And at each neighbourhood, I think that, you know, that is a really good model to test, at least, to see if it works.
It's a community garden, and I want people to feel like it's their garden, that they're welcome here the same way that we've been. It's a lovely little treasure here, and I want people to have ownership of it and to look after it and love it as much as we do. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, because so many people live here and don't know that it's here, and it's a resource for them.
So it's getting the amount of people who think the same way would be the best way to put it.
What was the question again? I think we've gone off track.
My dad is the bee bed champion for the garden. He planted lots of flowers hoping to attract bees. We invited some kids from the local school to learn about pollinators. I hope that Footballs keeps growing big pumpkins, as they're fun to carve for Halloween.
Lanny and Graham from Ardler Community Garden have already got big plans underway to help them produce more food next year. They're hoping to share it with the Macmillan Cafe that happens in the community centre right next door to their garden.
I mean, if we knew a graffiti artist that would do something for free, it would be great, because we've got a large area there. We could have a nice mural, flowers, bees, whatever you wanted on there, just to brighten the place up a bit.
Gesture to the space.